Welcome to the Unchecked Sports Pod, where we aren't verified public figures on social media, but we are obsessed sports fans with lots and lots of opinions. We are recording on Thursday, March 20th from Denver, Colorado. My name is Jordan Redding, and I am here with my co-host, Austin Jarvis. Austin, tell me what happened in the world of sports this week.
Well, free agency, man. We got it all.
Free agent, I know. And actually, now that I'm thinking of it, I have to cut you off here because something very interesting happened in the news world this week, and that is you had a little interview that went down.
I did for CBS Colorado. I for work-based learning. My apprenticeship through Footers and the NRA and all that with National Restaurant Association, just in case anyone gets confused.
No rifles. Okay, got it.
Yeah, restaurant. But yeah, they're paying for my certifications, and yeah, it was really just a cool experience talking about my passion for food.
That's super cool, and yeah, Footers Catering, which is in where. It's actually how we met. My wife works there, and as do you. And we were the ones on every vacation, like company vacation, that just talked about sports the whole time. And that led to me being like, let's just record this. And here we are. But very cool, man. That's exciting. Were you nervous at all before? Would you say that podcasting over Zoom has helped train you for a news interview? I would think no, but I thought I should ask.
A little bit, because I was nervous. Yeah, because the only thing I knew was like not to look at the camera. Honestly, it was like that was my biggest thing. It was like I knew don't stare at the iPhone right in front of my face.
Yeah, that is
so tough. And besides that, I think the pod helped with like feeling comfortable talking, but I also stutter so much and I just start to think I'm just like, oh, this is on the news. But it felt good. I really enjoyed the whole process of everything.
You were very eloquent, and I definitely felt like it was good for them to highlight, that. I think it's a cool program. So it's basically a program where it's helping small businesses. It's kind of subsidizing some of these apprenticeships. And so I live in Arvada where it was filmed, and obviously something that, you like seeing small businesses given the resources to be able to promote from within. So it was super cool, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's get into, since I cut you off, let's talk about free agency. Just off the jump, let's just say this, off the jump, what do you think is the biggest free agent move?
Definitely the Broncos, because we're winning the Super Bowl.
That's it, Super Bowl.
We're Super Bowl. We're getting J.K. Dobbins, and then we're winning the Super Bowl. That's how I feel.
I do think that, and we'll probably talk about this a lot in this in this upcoming little as we're going through all the free agents, but it is so interesting, the teams that don't have very high paid quarterbacks, how much more they can do. And or in the 49ers case, when you have to pay that quarterback, how much you have to sacrifice and get rid of.
And they haven't even paid him yet.
I know, but that's why they have to be clean. So all right, so you think Broncos. I feel like the Broncos have definitely have had one of the best free agencies. And as we dive into this, we can talk through it a little bit more. I feel like Pittsburgh did a lot to kind of turn around their trajectory potentially. It's a matter of who's that quarterback going to be.
Yeah.
I think most people think Rodgers, right, is going there.
I would hope I kind of want to see Rodgers do it. I'm like, I know we wanted to see the Vikings, but I kind of want to see this Pittsburgh. I feel like him with DK and the attitude with Pickens. Well, that's what I want to see.
And if JJ McCarthy going to the Vikings, if he is, they're considering him, if he is 80% of a Sam Darnold, that then allows them to do what Brock Purdy has had, where you just surround him. Yeah. I mean, not that he already didn't have great weapons, but you're just able to surround him with so much more. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting, but yeah, let's get into it really quick. Let's start in the AFC East with the Bills. What'd you see with that team? What are the big moves? Obviously there's some, I think an extension for Allen. I don't think he was at risk of leaving.
I think the biggest thing that stood out for me with the Bills was the fact that they got the Bosa brother and Joey.
I mean,
I
all 5 games he plays, they are going to be they're going to be
well,
humming.
exactly for as 12 mil, and he said he wanted to play with his brother, and I guess he preferred money over playing with his brother because the Niners offered him 10 mil.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been very cool. I think that I can't think of two like all pro defensive or siblings that have played together, but that would be incredibly
Yeah, that
cool.
would have been really
Yeah,
cool.
but I also like how much did he end up getting?
12 mil,
So for $2
12.6.
million, what?
Yeah, for $2 million, he chose like I'm actually not gonna play with bro.
Maybe he wanted a chance at a Super Bowl, and he felt like
Niners are
the
further away.
yeah, and the Bills, it kind of made sense for them, especially when they lost Vaughn, to
Yeah,
be able to
replacing
have
that
yeah,
for
I
cheaper as well because
true.
Vaughn was 20. I think he was 15 to 17 mil. I
Has he
think I
landed on a team yet?
no, I heard
Come
rumor he
home,
might come
buddy.
hometown.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta. I mean, to say beloved, like Von Miller is
yeah,
so loved in Denver, and he is the type of guy who's like, I mean, what have you made? 150 million, throughout your career, if not more.
yeah.
Like you're good on money, unless you're terrible with money, but hey, some people
Allen
are.
Iverson.
Yeah, right. So I thought, and maybe, as we're going through each team, if one thing jumps out to us, to me, the thing that jumped out that I am just the most interested in with this is Josh Palmer. And just like, what is it? He was
Yeah,
with a good quarterback before, but not with a good quarterback that has, I don't know. I mean,
I think I agree. And 18 million guaranteed with 36 mil for 3 years is I don't
yeah,
like that
yeah.
for a quarterback or not quarterback. Sorry, wide receiver that hasn't broke 1,000 yards at all.
I'm wondering if they just look at the skill set. I mean, he's big and fast. And so I'm
Yeah,
wondering if they're just like, hey, we're gonna give it a shot. Is Amari still on the team? He's
he's
still there.
nope. He's a free agent.
Oh, he is. Okay. Man,
He's coming
uh,
to Denver.
you don't want the money that you'd have to pay Amari.
I
Um,
heard we're chasing Amari is what I heard too, which is funny.
I mean, for like $6 million a year, sure.
I think we're
Yeah.
gonna get him fairly cheap
Yeah.
if we
Be-
do get him.
at the money he's been making, it's like, sorry, bud. Like you just haven't
Yeah,
been that guy. And that's okay. I mean, hey, Um, but yeah, to me, Josh Palmer was the most interesting one. I think that
yeah,
he presents something that the Bills haven't really had, like a big kind of outside guy. He is I don't want to say he is AJ Brown, but he is a body style of that, right? Big and fast. And
yeah.
so, I think sometimes teams can get excited with that. All right, well, let's go to then
I like
the
it. I like it.
Miami Dolphins.
Oh,
I think they did a couple interesting things. I think they're in trouble
I
as
think
a
my
franchise.
my favorite one is Zach Wilson.
I actually don't think that's bad.
I don't. They need it.
I think you need to plan for when Tua's out. If he's out for 6 games, how do you go 4-2, right? And I
Yeah,
think that's how you do it. Like, and I don't know
I
that Zach Wilson is the guy, but a better backup quarterback. Who did they have last year? It was like
um. Oh,
I can't name him.
wasn't it Skylar Thompson? Yeah, Skylar Thompson.
Yeah,
I
that
think, in all seriousness, it was probably someone from the free or their O line. I feel like they got James Daniels is the biggest contract that I see that they acquired out of their O line.
yeah,
So I feel
yeah.
like that's probably the best thing they need because I mean with A Chain and Alexander Madison getting added, that I don't know.
That's
That's
what I
just
thought. I
gross.
thought Madison kind of gave them a
A
little
res-
bit more size at running back as opposed to Mostert, who was good, but he was just as he was getting older, it was just limiting.
yeah, I agree. That's and Madison. Maybe I'm just biased because he's a Raider. I'm like he sucks.
He was good in Minnesota, and
he
yes,
was.
I would
He
say he
was
underperformed, but the Raiders have, I mean, just so many
always
problems.
underperformed.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's keep it moving. And I will say, I mean,
They were
there are,
boring.
well,
I'll
they're
tell you.
already, what, who are you talking, Patriots?
No,
Oh,
the Dolphins. They were
yeah.
boring.
I think McDaniels he might be on the hot seat. I don't know. Like I think it is now. time to figure out, what they're going to be. Is Tyreek going to be there? I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I mean, he's under contract, so I don't know.
I don't know either because it's time. It's start time you either look in or something, man. Because
He is starting to give me some real Antonio Brown vibes, and I don't love it. Like, he is starting just to say wild stuff. I mean,
he's going, and it sucks that he's from Denver.
I didn't know he was from Denver. I never knew that.
Mike McDaniels, right?
Oh no, I was talking about Tyreek.
Oh, Tyreek.
Yeah,
sorry.
Tyreek is acting like Antonio
Daniels.
Brown. No.
Yes. Tyreek is. He had like 9 kids this year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy. Tyreek's been on complete diva mode, and the fact that he requested a trade and then was like, we're not gonna trade him at all. Like, he doesn't want to get traded anymore. I think you're right. He's been hitting the head a little too many times.
Yeah, there's something going on there. All right, let's go to the New England Patriots. Do you see much of anything? I know.
What didn't they do?
I know.
They spent so much money on day one. Did you see that picture of oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but their new head coach, Mike Vrabel.
Oh, sure.
It was a picture of him at it was a roulette table or a blackjack table, something, but it was him gambling on Friday. And it opened up, free agency opened up on Monday. And Monday morning, they went and spent $250 million in free.
I feel like they do that every year, though, almost. I feel like they do that quite often because they're historically a very bad drafting team.
Yeah,
that it's like you have to do it in free agency, and I think, and obviously that goes back more to like Belichick. As we move out of the Belichick era, hopefully they get better at drafting.
No, we want them to still suck.
Yeah, I'm okay with
England.
I am okay with like 20 years of being bad. I'm very comfortable with that.
We're gonna have to. We're already having to deal with the Celtics, and then this might be for a little bit. Yeah. Let's not give Boston too big of a head.
Yeah, they don't deserve it. So, I can't see anything too major that is great for them. I mean, obviously they've made some moves. I don't know, maybe Harold Landry. I feel like that is as an edge rusher is fun.
That, or maybe it's kind of boring again, but someone from the O-line, because they beefed up their O-line. They just cleaned house. All 5 are gone, and now it's completely brand new.
I did see one thing where they were like, they weren't pursuing a veteran receiver because they wanted just like to make sure that
Drake May doesn't get rattled, and I'm like, and then they thought about bringing in Stephon Diggs. I'm like, that is the worst veteran receiver to bring in if you are gonna bring in a vet.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm looking at, if I'm them, like Amari Cooper at that point. I don't want them to because I want Cooper.
Right.
But man,
it depends on the contract for me. I would take Amari, but what is that contract? Because there are a lot of scenarios where I would not want him. At the price,
$10 million, no, thank you.
He's just never really produced up to him being a top 10 paid wide receiver. He's never been. He had moments in Dallas where he was solid. I mean, obviously in Cleveland, you got to give him a grain of salt because nightmare with Deshaun. All right, well, let's go to the Jets. I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious. Fields, I think, is really exciting.
Reuniting him with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, with Garrett. I know. I am. I will watch more Jets games this year than I have because I feel like Fields is just fun to watch. I feel like Fields has constantly played behind poor offensive lines.
Yeah.
And, I mean, maybe not last year, but I do think that the Steelers were a more interesting team with him at quarterback than Russ, and no one wants Russ. And so
I know that he's kind of just floating around because everyone's like, we're going to wait and see who goes where first because you're our second option. That's pretty much what they're telling him.
Yeah.
And I think Winston, because Jameis Winston is just hanging out and he knows he's like,
not on the same tier as Russ. I mean, I definitely.
Right. Yeah. Well, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, man.
Yeah. He is maybe the unofficial like NFL mascot right now. Like I do think he is.
At the Super Bowl, he was so funny. So funny.
He's ridiculous.
Handing out W cookies.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through. I mean, outside of that, the Jets, they kind of went in on defense for the most part. I mean, a couple linemen. I don't
Yeah,
think,
I would say O lineman a little bit, but just like
yeah,
you said, nothing too crazy. More or less just their defense. They
yeah,
lost DJ Reed,
yeah,
so that was a huge loss, and I know that's probably why they went through and picked up so many guys
yeah,
on
yeah.
defense.
All right, let's take it to the AFC North.
Yep.
The Ravens. I mean, D Hop is obviously, interesting on that
The
team.
the graveyard, man,
I know.
where wide receivers go to die in
I,
Baltimore.
I do think it's funny after Mark Andrews had those drops, they got one of the most sure-handed guys in football.
They're like, you're never running that play again.
Yeah, we'll run it with D Hop, who has
Yep,
hands the
exactly.
size of he has giant hands. I mean, besides that, they've kind of been quiet. I mean, they didn't have a lot of cap space anyway. I mean, Cooper Rush as a
Yeah.
backup, sure. Couple linemen, got a tackle, Stanley. But I don't know.
Yeah, re-signing them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
true. Who's on the team? Yeah, so just re-signed their guys
yeah,
for the
just a
most
bunch
part.
of re-signs. I
Yeah.
think the next team is where we get a little bit more
Oh
interesting.
man, yeah, yeah. Go ahead and bring it to that team.
The I almost said the Jaguars, the Bengals, man. I I knew T Higgins was going to re-sign there. I knew when he rejoined, like joined the agents with Jamar, that I just had a feeling. But first, they both got so much money.
It it's absurd. Like it. I want to. I love Burrow. I
Love
mean,
them, but
I like Jamar. I think he is probably the best run after catch wide receiver in football. I would still, in regards to like catching on the route, and I don't know if Jefferson. I don't know. They're both. It's 1 and 2. However you want to lay them out. That Burrow's
yeah,
old teammates are 1 and 2. I mean, the fact that Jefferson has played that well with so many quarterbacks, like and helped revive careers. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I think that you got to give him some grain of salt for that. To me, Chase, it made perfect sense. He
Yeah,
he just had the triple crown. I think was it the most receiving yards ever? Obviously, because it's an extra game, so all these records are going to be broken.
yeah.
Extra game every season, and so every
I don't think the most receiving yards ever because
no, it
didn't
was just a
Megatron
triple
have
crown.
like 1900?
Yeah, yeah. Megatron in his prime was, and it was all like, well, no, it was all like contested catches and stuff, and there.
Megatron. Oh,
But
I
to do that, to pay Jamar Chase 4 years, $161 million, which steep, but it's like, you know what? We're gonna overpay this one receiver. We'll get like solid guys around him at the other receiver positions, but then to pay T Higgins 4 years, 115 million, it's just like,
oh,
oh, so we're just not gonna have linemen or I mean,
defense. They had
there's
the
no defense.
28th ranked defense last year,
And
and
how are they? They're going to be worse. I mean, they have to be. I need to look at who actually left.
they're just re-signing people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
has to be
Oof.
worse because when you only re-sign people, I mean, I, I've never heard of Marco Wilson
Yeah,
as a cornerback, and I can imagine he's getting burned by anyone.
I think now is more than ever during this 4 year period. So that's going to start this year. You have to nail the draft. That's the only way you stay competitive. Is you have
Yeah.
to. And if I were you, I would be drafting. I mean, my joke is always a Georgia defensive
Yep.
player because it's like you need some dogs that
They,
are
they need
that are
Jack Sawyer from Ohio
yeah.
State. I know we hate Ohio State,
Yeah.
but he's a dog, and I
That
think
defense was, I mean, it was it was crazy that both the national championship and the Super Bowl were so one-sided. But
yeah,
Ohio State, yeah, anyone you can from that defense, like anyone you can, because gosh, and I don't think their wide receiver, I can't remember his name, number 4. I don't think
Jeremiah Smith.
he's not eligible yet, right? He's not in this draft, is he?
No, he's not. He
Okay.
could have, but he
Because if
decided not
so,
to.
I would, yeah, if you're looking for a receiver. But if if Cincinnati does something dumb and like gets a second round wide receiver or a tight end after they also, I should also say they paid Gasicki a lot too. What, 12 million for next year, and then it's a total of 25 million. So most of the
Yeah.
contract is front loaded. And then it gets more reasonable, but like it's Mike Gesicki. Like why him? Like
Yeah,
makes no
why
sense.
it doesn't? And they lost Sam Hubbard.
Yeah.
Like, and I know he wasn't all that,
Yeah.
but he was still part of the only part of the defense. Like
Yeah.
one
I
of the
mean,
names you know.
speaking to, their efficacy in drafting, Chase Brown, absolute steal. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
he's great. Like, and I think bringing in, I mean, P. Ryan, Brown did roll his ankle at the end of the year, so I guess, but I just don't know that they needed.
Should have brought in Kareem Hunt.
That's true. For less. I mean, yeah, they kind
Yeah,
of
for
paid,
less.
I don't want to say top dollar for a backup. It was 3.8 million, but I mean, probably more than, they should have. So,
Yeah.
I would say the Bengals, the expectation and what I'm taking from this as a game plan is they want to just outscore teams. Like
Yeah.
the assumption is at some point something will happen and their defense will either get a turnover or something. But like I think they're expecting to score on 80+% of their drives. Like you have to.
That's a lot of pressure
Yeah.
to put on an offense.
Yeah. I don't know that there's ever been a winning team I can think of that was. I mean, I'm trying to think like maybe back to the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf, but like I think even then they had a okay defense. I don't know. I mean, so much of the cap is now eaten up by just your offense. So wow. Time will tell, but it's
Yeah.
been an exciting
It's
exciting
been-
re-signing, of
Yeah.
players. But gosh. And I think Higgins is great too. And Higgins is that same.
is.
I don't want to keep using the AJ Brown body style, but like he's gigantic and fast. And I think
And he has good hands. Like he's exciting to watch. I mean, that when the Bengals played the Broncos, that was a good game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Higgins went off.
he went off. He went
But
nuts.
I think he's gonna go off now that, or like he's actually gonna play like I would say harder now that he got his money,
Agreed.
because he was kind of doing like a silent diva role.
Yeah.
Because I saw this picture. There was a bunch of pictures, like a big all slides, and it depended on how T. Higgins came to practice, whether or not he was going to play or not that week.
Yeah.
If he came to practice in a hoodie the first day, he wasn't playing that week. And
and he's getting paid just under 30 million a year. So yeah, now it's like, hey, you're going out there. Like, and you
exactly.
I mean, 30 million a year, you need 1,200 yards minimum receiving, I would say.
Exactly.
For $30 million. Are you kidding me? And Chase is going to have to be at like 15. I mean, if Chase has down years, which they're always one Joe Burrow injury away from being out of it, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think they brought in, who is their backup quarterback when Burrow's out? Because they didn't sign anyone, so it's whoever they had last year.
I don't even know.
Yeah. So, yikes. We'll see how it goes. Well, let's move to I think an interesting team. Certainly a team that's been making some headlines. The Cleveland Browns. To me, re-signing was the biggest thing, and that is old Myles Garrett.
I couldn't believe he redid that.
Yeah, I mean, he's the highest paid defensive player of all time at this point, which they're going to break that record every year, right? Like every new contract is going to be the biggest one ever. But I mean,
I don't know. I'm so mad at him for re-signing with them. Like, if I'm being honest, I wanted to see him on a different team. And I think it's wild. They told the Cleveland Browns, go get a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So they went and got Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. And so traded DTR for it. Like Dorian Thompson-Robinson's now on the Eagles, which like as a backup, I think is like he's actually pretty good.
Might be a stud, because that's a good that might fit his play style, because he can't throw the ball very well, but he can run.
Do you think, and this is if I just try to think of teams, I try to think of how I would play Madden, right, with the team. And so if it were me, I would re-sign Myles Garrett to the most money and most amount of time, and I would immediately try to trade him. Like, hey, do you want one of the best defensive players ever, or like an absolute beast, we need, I don't know, let's call it 4 first round picks and, and try to get some of those picks that you've squandered recently because in the end, Myles Garrett is not going to, he's, this team is so far away from building back. I think the Jerry Jeudy trade has been great for them.
Yeah.
I think they, what's his name? The wide receiver out of Tennessee, who had a few good games last year. Shoot, what is his name? Dang it. Regardless, I feel like they have like okay young prospects. I mean, their issue, I imagine they're drafting a quarterback. They have their
I
pick
think
this
so.
year. They have it
Yeah,
this year, right?
I think it's
Okay.
the third, right?
Yeah, and so I mean,
Shador, Cam, whoever drops, either.
will Dion let Shador go there though? I don't know that. I think he's trying to pull an Eli, and it's just like it's just such a different time than when Eli Manning was out. It's like you're not going
Yeah.
to go to a contending team. Like you're just not. Most teams have a decent quarterback, with the exception of like the Titans, the Browns, trying to think who else.
Giants.
Giants, yeah. Jets potentially. We'll see where they go.
Where
Yeah.
oh, I mean you could say the Falcons. Is Michael Penix going to be the real deal?
I mean, they just drafted a top 10. Yeah, you have to. He has to be.
He
Like,
has to be, yeah.
you have you're paying Kirk Cousins and you have Penix.
I
One of
can't
those
believe
two
they're keeping
guys.
him.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that might be, there is always something to be said. Again, going back to Madden, GMing.
Yeah.
You sit on him and wait until a team has an injury, a team with Super Bowl aspirations, and then you're just like, hey, I've got this guy. I've got Kirk Cousins here.
Yeah.
He's, I mean, he hasn't won a lot of playoff games, but yeah. And so, I mean, I think that might be the reason why, and there might not have been anyone willing to take him. I mean, would you? I mean, imagine if the Broncos were like, hey, we're bringing in Cousins. It's like, why? Why? Like,
I
no.
wanted him the first round of the Kurt Cobain sweepstakes before he went to Minnesota.
Like when he was on the then Redskins, now Commanders,
Yeah.
like when he was in Washington. Interesting.
Yeah, and after when he was going to his little free agent stint, I wanted him really bad.
Oh man.
Glad we didn't get him.
Yeah,
I
I
looking
did.
at it now.
Yeah, I did. I mean, yeah, he definitely was. I mean, playing well with Washington and showed that he had some promise. But the issue is if you're signing a quarterback as a free agent, like there are so many incentives to drafting them well, and then being able to get those extensions, which tend, I believe, to be a little bit more team friendly.
Yeah.
And allow the player more, but it's like less of a cap hit. I don't know how it works, but yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Free agent quarterback never. I mean, we're still. I also need to say this on this podcast. We are still paying Russell Wilson for one more year, and I've been saying we are. You were right.
I told you.
I looked into it and I was like,
I knew it.
"Ooh."
I didn't want to say anything because a lot of people. There was another dude that told me that we weren't paying him either. So I was like, Jordan's right.
I thought the reason we had done it is it was 1 year of paying him, but it's 2 years of paying
I
him.
knew
But we
it
were
was-
going to have to pay him for 3. So we got out of 1 year
Which is
by
nice.
getting rid of him, and we drafted the quarterback. What sucks is we don't get the benefit of being off a high-paid quarterback, like some of the perks of weapons and things like that. But Bo has been good enough that, that they're figuring it out. But yes, so we
Exactly.
still paying Russ for another year. And yeah.
I mean, that's nice that next year we'll be off of that, and that gives us that extra money because we'll see what else we need.
Because it'd be going into year 3. Yeah, Bo. So he'll have 2 years. It's like, hey, get it right for 2 years. We can get some weapons after that, and then let's see what we can do. And yeah. All right. Well, let's go. Keep it moving. We already talked about this, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have done, I mean, less than you would think, but like still some stuff. I mean, to me, Metcalf was the big thing.
I think DK is the biggest thing. That kind of came out of left field for me because my understanding with the Seahawks was that they thought they were getting Sam Darnold. So they decided they were going to keep DK and not trade him and be like, well, we have this guy coming in. You'll be fine. And then I just get a notification that DK got traded to the most random team.
I guess I've just never And maybe this is just coming from fantasy. My wife, who went to Oregon, she's hated Pete Carroll forever. And so we didn't watch a lot of Seahawks games because she would always just like, because while she was at Oregon, he was at USC. It was before he went to the Seahawks. And so there was not a lot of, yeah. So we weren't watching a lot of Seahawks games. I don't remember him being this like dominant top 5 wide receiver. And yet I feel like we're talking about it like he is. And am I missing something? Like everyone's like, oh, they got a wide receiver, and it's like okay, like isn't he might be like a top 20, but like it's not AJ Brown, you know what I mean?
It's because he's ginormous.
Yeah.
And like he's good. I think like
he's good, yeah.
I think what they gave up, the second round pick, late pick swap, and I think there was another pick or two involved. I would have given up that. Like the 2 to 3 picks that they gave up for DK, I think would have been worth it.
Yeah, but then they immediately, and I never will understand why teams do this, signed him to a 4-year, $132 million contract. So what is that? Roughly $33 million a year?
Yeah.
That's insane. It's insane. And they don't have a quarterback. Like they're just like, I don't know, I guess Mason
sign with
Rudolph.
us, and I promise you, we'll find someone to throw you the ball. Just sign with us, please.
Yeah. It's just I don't know that Metcalf moves the needles. Him and Pickens, him and George. I mean, obviously those are two highly their reputations are for being very aggressive players and guys that are not going to shy away from scrap. And so, you know, if I wouldn't fight the Steelers at this point because you're right. DK is an absolute specimen of a human. Like it is. I mean,
specimen.
Yeah,
that man is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane, and he like loves candy and just still has a 47 pack. And so, yeah, I mean, killing it. I just to me, I almost feel like in the end, Darius Slay could have, you know, who they also picked up a cornerback who's older, but I feel like he could have more impact on the team than DK. I guess, yeah. I just like, I don't remember.
Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, and I don't remember DK just like, did he ever even get more receiving yards than like Doug Baldwin when he was? I feel like Baldwin was the number one when I don't know. I just don't remember him being this game-changing offensive player like a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase or even I would consider a T. Higgins. He is a good player.
Yeah,
but maybe exactly. I guess we'll see. In Tomlin, you know, I trust Mike Tomlin, and so I'm sure he'll bring out the best in him. And so I don't know. Let's move it though to the AFC South, where let's talk about the Houston Texans, who we had a lot of hopes for coming into the season, and then didn't do a ton. And obviously, I would say, I mean, I'll let you go first with who you think was the biggest.
Sorry, I was gonna say it's not even list. I mean, 2 of their trades, I'm torn between. Well, they traded away this guy. They traded away Tinsel. That's right. So I guess CJ Gardner-Johnson because they didn't do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Stingley is going to be solid. And
that extension, though.
Yeah, paying him.
It's early. He still has 2 years on his contract. He's a rookie. Like it's his rookie deal. A lot of people. So I read something the other day that a lot of people are questioning the Texans on why they gave him this extension right now. Because so it's a $90 million extension. $89 million is guaranteed.
It's always so crazy. How about there was a running back for the Bills, by the way? He had I think it's a $15,000 guarantee on his contract, which I thought was hilarious. That's like, make sure they're walking with something. They must not have high hopes of making the team. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, Christian Kirk, I think, you know, did they need wide receiver desperately? Like, not really. They had Tank and they had your boy.
Nico.
Yeah, Nico.
Tank is going to be done for the 2025 season, though.
He's out for the whole season because of the injury.
I'm pretty sure he had to go through a second surgery.
We're about to start a dynasty and like
I should have told you. Just kidding.
Tank's on my team in dynasty. No, my current one. I would have done the research. I would have gotten.
I know. I'm just kidding.
That, but and it's just. I was hoping. I was like, if Diggs goes, maybe Tank. You know, if he comes back, his knee's all right. But
Yeah, I
Yikes.
heard he's not going to come back.
Well, then the Kirk trade makes more sense. It's Nico and Christian Kirk. Like that's pretty formidable. I mean, I think that's worth it for what, a 7th round pick? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's
Christian
smart.
Kirk, ironically to me, is fantasy cancer. Every year that I've had him
Interesting.
on my team, when I've had him on my team, I start him and he does awful.
Okay.
I start him and he gets hurt,
Yeah.
or I sit him and he does great. So I'm like, hell with this guy. I just trade him. And I'm like, this dude is just everything he does to my team right now is horrible.
I mean, I'm not gonna count on him for fantasy stuff, but I would say Jacksonville has been a pretty tumultuous franchise for some time. And
Yeah.
so I don't know that his time in Jacksonville could be, um I kind of feel like Trevor Lawrence is in the same boat where it's like, does Lawrence just leave at some point and is
Does
like,
he
I
go to New
gotta,
York?
because he was supposed to be this. I mean, people were tanking to get him, and
Yeah.
they've never been great. They've never had really a big playoff push. They've never. I mean, it's been pretty quiet, and obviously coaching has been an issue down there, and all sorts of stuff. And now, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It'll be. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Kirk had a good season. Um,
I
and
would
I'm
hope. I think CJ will bounce back this year.
the one thing that I'm a little disappointed in is I can't help. Well, actually, they did. They traded for a guard. They signed Laken Tomlinson to a 1-year deal, and then also Cam Robinson. So I mean, they do have some linemen, but that was their biggest issue. I mean, they were talking about how
Yeah.
so in the Super Bowl how poorly Patrick Mahomes played. The amount he was being pressured wasn't as much as what CJ Stroud was going through on a
Yeah.
weekly basis in the regular season. And it's like, you have to give him time. Like, you just have to give, or just throw wide receiver screens. And, I don't know how long
Well,
that lasts, but
Nico had over 1,000 yards, sat out a few games because he was hurt. But games that I watched with Nico, he didn't have screens. Like it was
yeah.
long bombs.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
which is crazy because, like you said, he's getting pressured
But it was
so
like Stroud
much.
on the move and scrambling in the
Just launching,
pocket.
just throwing
And yeah,
it.
yeah, just hucking it. And Nico is just,
I,
he had
oh,
had himself a year. I mean,
I
he
and
just
I knew it. I told you guys. I told everybody.
I am so interested. Taking a pause. So we're about to start a dynasty. You're starting a dynasty league, so it's like we're going to be drafting here in the next month for that league. I'm so interested to see one of two things. Either you do a ton of trades and you screw yourself because dynasty, you just have to
Yeah.
be really patient, or seeing you deal with the fact that you can't do a ton of trades because you must have done 300 trades in our fantasy league last year.
Yeah.
You won it, but I mean, you were moving and shaking. I couldn't keep track of who was on the team. Like it was so many moving pieces that
There was a lot of moving
yeah.
pieces, and I was thinking about that because I'm like, I was thinking about, is anyone even going to trade with me on draft day? Like, I'm and like, and then I was thinking about like, am I gonna really mess myself up if I trade as much as I'm thinking about trading on draft day?
It is interesting how much, it is just interesting how much more important the draft becomes in Dynasty and how insanely valuable draft picks are. And there's someone in my league that's dominating because I mean, with a 5th rounder, got Puka. No one thought Puka was going to be great, and then he's a top 5 wide receiver, and you're like, oh, and that guy won the league, and like that's just kind of how this thing goes. And
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting. But anyway, all right, let's get to another team that's been in the headlines quite a bit, and that is the Indianapolis Colts.
yeah. I mean, Danny Dimes or Travarius Ward. Those are my two.
I mean, to me,
Honestly,
Dimes
Henry
would be,
Byram too.
yeah. I mean, they've had quite a bit of some interesting, interesting moves. But I think Dimes would, Daniel
Yeah.
Jones would be the most interesting because obviously they needed vet, right? Behind Anthony Richardson and Case Richardson, just there's a world where he wasn't the guy. And I mean that might be the world that we live in, where Anthony
Yeah.
Richardson tested off the charts, but just wasn't, I've said it on this podcast a million times. It's not like Florida was dominating teams with him
Yeah.
being on the team. Um, And so, I mean, I just find that to be interesting because I don't know that Daniel Jones is that. I don't think he's going to be better. Like that's my issue.
Yeah,
It's like, do you
13
want
million.
someone? Well, and it's just like again, it made sense when it was Joe Flacco, like someone that has experience that
Exactly.
can mentor him. Daniel Jones is like, hey, I might statistically be worse than you. like, you know what I mean?
Hey,
I don't.
remember
Yeah,
that time I ran 80 yards, but I fell on my face and didn't score a
exactly.
touchdown?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Gosh, I don't
That's
know.
what you can learn from me.
I mean, besides that, probably Travarius Ward. Yeah, I feel like is a
Yeah,
good pickup. Getting that defense. Obviously they have pieces on offense, and we'll see. What they can do. But I don't know. I don't have them making a playoff run this year, and
not at
so
all.
yeah, and
Yeah,
you just wonder, yeah, what's going on. And honestly, I don't consider the AFC South to really be that competitive of a division.
I don't either.
So we're
Looking
gonna
at it,
go. Let's go through it quick. So then the Jacksonville Jaguars,
literally did nothing
nothing.
except for Diami Brown. Is
Yeah,
like I don't really see.
no,
Yeah, I'm like
nothing.
next.
I mean, yeah, Nick Mullins came in 2 year, $6.5 million deal. So yeah, I mean, yeah, nothing.
Yeah,
They did nothing. All right. So then to the Titans, who obviously the exciting thing about the Titans is they're the number one overall pick. And so a lot of people are assuming that will be Cam Ward.
I feel like they
Um,
trade it unless they. Yeah, it will be Cam Ward unless they some crazy reality they trade it.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that, I think people, I don't feel like Shador Sanders is someone that I would draft in the top 10. I don't. I just don't think he's, yeah,
I would
that's
say
all I
late
need to
first
say.
round, maybe even second round.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that would be more accurate with where he's at. I don't feel like speed. I think he's a lot slower than people realize. And so to me, Cam
Yeah,
Ward is kind of the clear to me, number one quarterback in what I would consider somewhat of a weak quarterback class.
yeah.
Um, and so yeah, maybe someone wants Travis Hunter really bad, and maybe they'll trade up for him. That could be a thing. But I mean, the Titans haven't done a ton. like
Nothing.
yeah, and
Van, I mean, Van Jefferson is the only dude that is like, all right, this is the only thing you really did.
I think when you're signing $2.5 million wide receiver deals, it's probably not that significant of a
Exactly.
of an impact. So we're gonna move to the AFC West,
Oh,
the division that we live in. Let's talk about them Broncos.
we're
What's
winning the
going
Super
on with?
Bowl. We're winning the Super Bowl.
I like it. I love your
I
confidence.
at first I wasn't sure about Trent Sherfield because I'm like, why are we getting this wide receiver? But I
Sure.
heard he's a dog on special teams, and that's why we got him. We lost our other dude on special teams, so he's our replacement, and that's fine. He's gonna kill it. Evan Ingram, I'm so happy about that.
You were very excited when that happened, and I think that an athletic tight end, which is what Ingram is. He's a down the
Just
field tight end. I
a
think
little
let's
check down.
Yep, give him weapons, and I think re-signing Stidham. We've talked about him before. He might be the
Yeah, I
33rd
couldn't
best
believe that.
quarterback, and so I think that's awesome to have him back there. That way, if Bo goes out, again, the idea is if your quarterback is out for 5 or 6 games, can you win more than half of those? And I think
Yeah.
that that would be the plan. And then we've obviously been robbing the 49ers as well of
Uh,
some of their talent.
Dre Greenlaw
Yeah.
and Talanua Hufunga. I'm so happy to have Hufunga. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
A
When
hard
I
hitting
saw that,
safety and like shoring up that secondary, I think will be
he's like
really good.
Palomalu.
Yeah,
I love it. And
yeah,
I'm like, the curly hair, even all of it. I'm just like, this is the energy that we are going to have the best defense in the league.
yeah. I mean, it definitely and the fact that it's that these guys both signed deals, right? I think Greenlaw, yeah, it's both
Yep.
3 year deals. So that is riding out the rest of Bo Nick's rookie contract, and then
Yeah.
that's kind of how I think when you have a rookie quarterback, it's like cool. They're at some point you're gonna have to pay him, and that's where the 49ers landed, right? Where it's like we have to pay
Yeah.
Purdy. Purdy is gonna make a lot of money. It will be a true testament to was it the weapons or was it Purdy? I think that, yeah, I mean, I've been very, very pleased with what the Broncos have done.
Yeah, next thing we need is just J.K. Dobbins. We missed out on the main running back I wanted. We'll talk about him soon. He's on the Chargers.
Yeah, I think Dobbins. I mean, health is always Dobbins' biggest issue.
That's my biggest concern.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't really want him, if I'm be honest. But I'm like, well, you're best available now, so
yeah, true.
Got to take what I can get.
All right, how about the Kansas City Chiefs? What? I feel like the Chiefs kind of are.
They took my linebacker from me. They re-signed Nick Bolton, and I wanted Nick Bolton.
Yeah.
But I'll take Greenlaw over Bolton. Honestly, I think we get an experienced dog out of Greenlaw.
Well, we'll see. And honestly, that's, as the Broncos have kind of shored up or at least added more talent to their secondary, they're playing the Chiefs twice a year, every year.
Oh, yeah. And I go to that. Nadia and I go to that game every single year. And that's what makes me so excited. Is like, I'm going to be talking about, I haven't had a free agency for the Broncos to get excited about in a while.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, the Peyton Manning free agency of like when we got him in that
that was the biggest ever, probably for Denver, right? That was probably the biggest free agent signing ever. Because Peyton Manning was, it was huge.
I guess I'll say Emmanuel Sanders then.
There you go.
Emmanuel Sanders would be like, because, that was astronomical.
Yeah.
Because we stole him from the Cardinals. I don't know. Did you know that?
Yeah. I have to, if I can be completely honest, I loved the Tim Tebow era, and I wanted that to continue. I did too, yeah. I was a Florida Gator fan, which, by the way, March Madness, they start tomorrow. They have their first game. I have high hopes for them.
Man, I couldn't believe
it. And they're one of the magical teams that have a top 10 defense, and they shoot over 35% from three, which typically in the last, I think it's like somewhere between 10 and 20 years, the team that has won the championship has fallen into that, and they are, of the 1 seed teams, they're one of 3 possible teams that fit that metric. So I have very high hopes.
And they're on the East Coast, so them being on that side, geez, words. Sorry, the West Coast has never won a March Madness tournament.
That's crazy.
So
I guess with Duke, and is Kansas considered? They must be considered East Coast.
So the cutoff is right at the Colorado line. So gotcha. CSU is considered West Coast, obviously, but like anything beyond that right side of Colorado is considered East. They have so many colleges over there. There's only like 13 colleges that they.
Well, and I will say, like, the ACC was kind of structured as a basketball conference too. So actually I had not thought about that, but the East Coast is which is so funny because the Eastern Conference is so much worse in the NBA than the Western Conference. I mean, the top tier teams are great. The Cavs and the Celtics are awesome, but I mean, it is very interesting. All right, well, let's go through what Kansas City, a couple things that they've done. I mean, they went Gardner Minshew, backup quarterback, great. Yeah. Re-signed Kareem Hunt, re-signed Hollywood Brown, re-signed Juju, which Juju had. I mean, he might have been their best wide receiver in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Juju did. He was good. I think Hollywood Brown they just re-signed because they're like, oh, you were hurt last year.
Yeah, you got to see.
So we didn't get to see what. Yeah.
Agreed.
Juju, it's crazy to see that was like so good, and now he's kind of just like, I don't want to say mid, but he's kind of like. Because he's good, but he's still like in that mediocre side.
I think he is like the best third option at wide receiver, maybe in the league, right? So he has, 64 better wide receivers, but when you get to that third wide receiver on your team, it's great to have him. And
he gets those 100-yard games sometimes, which is crazy.
And I think he's cheap, isn't he? It doesn't say on here what they got, but
I think they got him at like I want to say anywhere from $3 to $7 million, like very, very cheap, very, very cheap.
So no like major moves. I mean, maybe Christian Fulton, signing a cornerback for 2 years, $20 million, but nothing crazy. Elijah Mitchell to be another backup running back. I had no idea why.
Weird. Yeah, I don't like it.
But a team that has been doing some stuff are the Las Vegas Raiders. The Pete Carroll led. Tabby might be there with you. My wife might hate the Raiders now.
I hate the Raiders the most. And It's funny. I'm looking at it. They signed Alex Kappa. You know, he had the triple crown last year as an offensive guard. He allowed the most pressures, the most sacks, and like the most hurries or something. Like he's just the
What team was
worst.
he on last year?
The Bengals.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
I can't believe they gave him
they
money.
they re-signed Crosby for a very nice amount of
Yeah,
money. I think he actually contractually is getting paid the same as Myles Garrett. He just has a year less on it. I think
yeah,
33-ish million a year. So for a top tier defensive, like an edge rusher, that seems to be great. A couple big headline things for those that haven't been paying attention. Geno Smith was traded from the Seahawks to them for a
that.
third round pick, which
Yeah,
I kind of I don't know. Um, I don't know. I don't hate Geno as a quarterback. I think that it's so funny that they're replacing their now too old, failed Jets quarterback with Sam Darnold, who is like a younger, previously failed Jets
yeah.
quarterback that, and who also was able to kind of last year revive his career. And we'll get to, what that looks like. But I don't know. I feel like Geno is solid. I think is better than Gardner Minshew. I would wonder if because they made this move, if they're kind of in a win now mode, or if they're trying. I still feel like they need a wide receiver.
Yeah, I think they still need a wide receiver. I'm kind of irritated they got Jeremy Chin because he's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to be good.
I mean, to me, the AFC West has been one of the better divisions in football for a while now.
That's what makes me
Obviously,
so great. They're
yeah.
like so happy that they just sit at the bottom.
You know, yeah, agreed. Well, let's go to the Chargers.
I feel like they didn't really do much either.
Najee, but I don't. I mean,
Yeah,
what is that? Heineke as a backup?
I
Sure.
actually don't. What that Najee deal was only a 1 year deal. I didn't realize that.
Hmm.
So it's only $5 million for 1 year on this Najee. That's crazy. And then they signed Becton, the guard, for 20 mil for 2 years. That's just I didn't realize that was I knew the market. I thought Saquon reset the market. If I'm gonna be completely honest,
I mean, are we thinking that Najee Harris? I mean, I don't think he's looked
I would
upon
I would have
near the
paid.
level of Saquon. Like he
Well, no,
reset the market for top tier running backs, not for.
I guess I'm going off. I guess I'm thinking of how consistent he's been. I'm just going off of consistency because he's had 1,000 yards all 4 years of his career.
Yeah, but
I I would have paid $6 million for Najee Harris. You're telling me, really?
no. I mean,
As a
let's.
Denver Bronco, I would have
Yeah.
definitely given him $6 million
If it
dollars.
takes you 17 games to hit 1,000 yards, you get that that's like 60 yards rushing a game, right? Like that's less
I
impressive. And I know that it's hard because of durability or getting touches. Like a lot of teams do split backfields, but like 1,000 yards rushing or receiving to me, like that receiving's tougher because you have to not only run your route, but have the quarterback throw it to you, have them throw it to you in the proper spot. Like when you're rushing your handed the ball, obviously blockers have to, they have to make moves, but I don't think the issue was blocking in Pittsburgh. I think there's a reason that Pittsburgh was like, "We'll let him go. You can pay him
well,
5 million. We don't want him for 5 million." I don't know.
now that you bring that up, you make a very good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Like I had very high hopes for Najee when he came out. I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. He's kind of that, that build where he could do something interesting." But in that offense, I don't know that Najee. I don't consider him a great pass catching back, and maybe he is, and I missed it. But I feel like that's what made Dobbins so good last year. He was catching
Yeah,
passes all
it
over the place,
was.
and so I mean, maybe Najee's better, and I didn't realize it. I guess Dobbins hasn't officially signed anywhere, but I mean, I think they must be assuming he's not coming back.
Yeah, I
Um,
think they were like, all right, we're done with Dobbins.
yeah,
I think it was a one and done type of deal. I really I really want him on in Denver. Like now that he's best available, I feel like, and like you said, a good receiving back in J.K. Dobbins.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I guess one other thing of note, with the Chargers, Khalil Mack re-signed 1 year, 18 million.
Yeah,
So
I couldn't
solid
believe
payday.
that.
I mean, he still is good. He's been at it for a long time, though.
He has been at it for a while.
All right, well, let's move to the NFC East, to America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
They took
Running
our
backs,
boy.
yeah, Javante and Miles Sanders. They got, two decent running backs at not a lot of the fact that the Broncos didn't want to pay Javante Williams $3.5 million, or maybe Javante didn't want to come back. I don't know, but I mean, post injury,
I
he
don't
wasn't
think
the
we-
same. He wasn't the same.
He wasn't, and I knew he wasn't coming back. They were going to try and trade him. They couldn't find anything. So, I Dante Fowler Jr. was a good pickup, but I mean, it's the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
in reality,
honestly, besides that, I don't know. I guess Osa. I'm not even going to try that last name, but I mean, I guess he had a solid. Dante Fowler's an older player, former Gator.
yeah.
He actually, fun fact, he is the reason or I've blamed him for years, the reason that the Gators did not win 2 national championships in a row. The night before the national championship game, or maybe it was the week before. I think it was the night before, though. He got a DUI. And wasn't able to play, and he was without a doubt our biggest star on defense, and it was very disappointing. I still have not watched the show Swamp Kings on Netflix because I don't need to know about that era. I mean, I do. I watched it and lived it. I don't need behind the scenes of Urban Meyer being creepy and anything.
Right. That's so funny.
So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't consider the Cowboys to have had a very exciting offseason.
Nope.
So let's move to, in my mind, without a doubt, the funniest, the New York Giants.
Yeah.
And I think the most obvious has been pointed out by everyone, but that would be Darius Slayton getting a 3-year, $36 million contract on the a year after the Giants refused to pay Saquon Barkley 3 years, $36 million.
Yeah.
And just like, no shade towards Slayton. It's not that he's bad. I think
But
$12 million a year is appropriate for him. But it's just always going to be held in comparison to Saquon. And they were like, we don't have the money for you. And then they had the money. That's just, outside of that, I mean, they're a team in absolute shambles. And
Shambles.
so we'll see.
couldn't have said it any better. I was
Yeah.
thinking the same word. I was like, shambles is
Yeah.
right.
I mean, they spent some money on their secondary. They got Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo, but I mean,
Holland is a good pickup.
I don't think that your secondary is going to save you, but you got to start
No.
somewhere, I suppose. I think their draft selection in the next few years will be very interesting to watch. But yeah, I don't think we got to spend a lot of time on them. The reigning Super Bowl champions,
Gross.
the Eagles, which
Disgusting.
I hope the city of Philadelphia has repaired, has
Right,
been,
it
been
did
able to
burn
come
down, it
back.
looks like.
I know. But I mean, extending Saquon, huge,
Yeah.
I wonder, and maybe I'm wrong. I was wrong last year about it, but like, where did the injuries go and will they come back? I think is the biggest thing for me with Saquon.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get that he had a healthy year. Does that
Well-
mean he'll have a healthy few years, which $36 million guaranteed is crazy.
It is crazy.
It's crazy. Because there's a world where he doesn't play. Like there's a world
Exactly.
where week 3 something happens, because that's the reason the Giants didn't extend him. It's not that they're
Yeah.
dumb. It's that he got hurt every year.
Well, they are dumb.
They're dumb. I get it that they're dumb, but they were like, we can't set the the market for running backs with Saquon if he is missing 8 games a year, which is kind of what he was doing for a while, But yeah, I mean, obviously you have to pay him. I do think that having a running back like AJ Dillon, who's former Packer back in the day, will be solid.
Yeah,
Besides that,
getting Quadzilla was pretty crazy.
they have a lot of leg strength at running back on that team. And I don't know. I mean, outside of that, there's not really anything. I mean, I guess Zach Bond might be the most exciting,
Yeah.
but isn't that exciting? I don't know. Let's move to the Commanders. We're gonna keep this moving.
Sounds good.
Debo, it's got to be Debo, right?
Yeah. Debo for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think the question is what, the fact that it was just a 5th rounder speaks volumes to where the Niners thought he was. Like, is he going to be excited? It's not that the Niners were out of it. So him being out of shape, it's not like he was on some terrible team. They underperformed last year because of injury. But
Yeah,
is he going to come back? Is he going to be fast? Set a wide receiver screen for Debo and he takes off, or is he going to be like chunky Debo?
yeah.
I don't know.
What version of Debo are they going to get?
Yeah. Yeah. And outside of Debo, I'd say Laramie Tunsil would be the other big move that they did, that trade. I mean, crazy. A fourth rounder. They literally traded a fourth and a fifth rounder for Debo Sanders and Laramie Tunsil. Like, it's crazy.
That is crazy what they turned that into, because they're both such great players.
It is the benefit of a rookie contract at quarterback.
Yes.
I will scream it from the rooftops until I'm dead in the face.
Exactly.
You do one of two things. You have a top 5 quarterback who makes up for it, knowing that you won't have great wide receivers, but they're good enough, or you have someone that's on a rookie deal. I say that, and then the Eagles won with neither of those things. And so what do I know? But that's always kind of how I've viewed it. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, defensive line got a little more juice there with Kinlaw.
And they lost Zach Allen, Jonathan Allen.
Yeah.
That's his name.
Yeah, it was a big loss. But, I think you get to a point where you just can't pay everyone, and there are going to be casualties, especially when you're a championship team. It happens in basketball all the time, and I think it's just it is what it is. All right, let's go to the NFC North. And let's talk through, let's go with the Chicago Bears. What do you think?
Let's see.
I mean, they did a lot on the offensive line.
I was going to say Joe Thuney they traded from the Chiefs to get him as a center, and I think that's going to be huge.
Yeah, and Dahlman as well was pretty solid. I think that's where they needed to spend their money. They have the rookie quarterback, and they had they still have great wide receivers, and don't need to spend any more capital, be it draft or monetary at that position. And so now let's get that offensive line good. I would think that they need to get a bell cow running back probably as well.
Yeah, I think they might draft Genty.
Do you think?
Maybe.
What if the Broncos? Well, the Broncos would be way after the Bears. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think that because I think they have the 10th to the 12th pick. So okay. I think they have it a little bit in front of us, so they can jump the gun if we want, or if they want.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to. I mean, I don't know. They also spent some money on defensive line and edge rushers, and so
I was gonna say Grady Jarrett is huge.
Yeah, it's big. I don't know. I am excited to see what's going on. We actually are going to. This is a 2-parter where we're going to have to go through the rest of this next week. I'm excited. I think as we start to see the draft coming up, these free agent moves will help dictate. Will help with the accuracy of mock drafts and help us understand kind of what teams really do need. And so I think these moving pieces, I mean, for the Broncos already, I kind of had safety circled. You had tight end circled, and you've been on record. Is that still as big of a need? Is that, do we want a dual tight end threat? I don't know, but we'll.
I don't think so at this point. I think with us getting a tight end, if we picked up a tight end or traded for a tight end, I think I knew we needed to go after something else.
Right.
Because we don't need to pay 3 tight ends so much money. Like,
for sure.
I mean, I can't even think of a team that has a dual tight end threat.
No, that was a kind of short-lived moment for the Patriots with Hernandez and Gronk.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the last time I could think of it like truly being a good weapon.
Packers kind of have it, but Musgrave's been hurt. Musgrave, whatever. I can't remember.
It's Musgrave. It's Musgrave.
Okay, Musgrave. Yeah, I can't. I guess you can't really consider it because, like I said, he's been hurt.
Tucker Kraft was always the better tight end. I took him in Dynasty because I was like, this dude's a stud. He's bigger, he blocks better, and now he jumps over people all the time. And so I'm on the Tucker Kraft train. Even though you're right, Musgraves was the round before. I think second or third rounder. I think he was a second, and then Tucker Kraft was a third. But But yeah, it'll be interesting. So we will pick this up next week. Enjoy your week, man. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, man. You too. Yeah, talk soon, and I'm excited. Maybe we'll get some new moves, and who knows, I might come in even more on my Broncos train.
Dang, we'll have to see. Hopefully, by the time we talk next, the Heat have won a game. They've lost 9 straight.
Goodness.
So
yeah, that's crazy.
I say tank it, pull the starters, tank them. Like you
need something because 9 straight. I was looking at
and they're like trying. That's the hard part. It's like they're not taking. They're trying very hard.
Cade's that was such a disgusting 3-pointer. Like it was so. I saw that and I was just like, I can't imagine how Jordan felt. I felt so bad.
Here's my thing, and I know that we're gonna wrap this up here in 1 second, but I will talk about this. I will talk about this briefly. I don't think being in the play-in means anything to me. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I don't think that us at 10 we're gonna beat whoever ends up at the 7th spot. I don't think we're going to win twice. And I just don't, at this point, what we've never done, all of our stars, we have gotten pick 13 or later, right? And we just need to, and also if the NBA is rigged, hey, throw a team a bone and give us Cooper Flag, please.
Miami has a great culture. Give it to us.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you threw San Antonio a bone. They were fun.
You guys are a bunch of shooting white boys. We'll take Cooper Flag because you got Hero, Duncan.
I think the Lakers are the official white boy team now.
Because they have Luka and Reeves.
Yeah, I feel like they have just better white guys than us. We just have
better white guys.
Yeah. The Heat are in a real, and we'll wrap up after this, but yeah, the Heat are in a point where I would love to see some losses. We are not in contention. We will never in a billion years, even if we come out of the play-in, beat the Cavs or the Celtics, it will never happen. And so let's just tank. I'm okay with it. As a giant Heat fan, I am okay with it. Please do me that favor.
At least do the one thing for us and get you with some good pick. But it's crazy. After losing the 9, you guys are still 5 games ahead of the Hornets.
And again, we were talking about the East. When I talk about the East being weak, it's not the top team. The East could win the championship again this year. I mean,
they top 3 seeds.
Yeah, and 4. I really think it's just the 2. I think it's Cavs or Celtics. There are the 2 teams that have so much depth and versatility. Although the Cavs have lost 3 in a row, but to me, what makes the Eastern Conference so weak is our bottom tier teams. They're real bottom. I mean, it is rough out here.
I think if I can remember correctly, I think you guys are 29-42. If that is somewhat accurate, I think
41 now.
Okay, I thought I remember seeing a 4. I can't remember that second number.
Yeah, it's bad.
But
it's bad.
And the fact that the Hornets are 24-45 or something, and I'm like, they're the next closest team.
And the Wizards, I think, are 15. They have 15 wins. And so yeah. I think a lot of teams this is the time of the year where. Do not be the Patriots. Don't win for no reason. At this point, lose it out. We need more talent. And I will say, one of the benefits of the Heat being both in the city of Miami, which is attractive, and the state of Florida, which has no income tax. I think they have those in their back pocket. So they always are one free agent away from being competitive again. But we draft so well. Let's just have a high pick and just see what happens because we never have. Since LeBron left, think about it.
Just mediocre.
Since LeBron left, I don't think we've had a top. Oh, we did have the 2nd pick overall, and we took Beasley. Shoot.
When was that? What year was that?
Had to have been that actually might have been before LeBron came. Was that 2008? 2009? I don't know. I can't remember.
Are you talking about Malik Beasley?
No, Michael Beasley.
Second
overall pick, giant bust. Yeah, so that's what I mean.
Definitely, that was a lot. I think that was before that.
Okay, so then post LeBron, we have not, and obviously, the Heat are known for finding gems and turning them into. I mean, think about how good the Cavs are. Strus is a starter on that team. We found him. He was undrafted. We didn't draft him. Duncan, we didn't draft. Gabe Vincent, who is starter for the Lakers, didn't draft him. They're so good at finding that, but it's you need a superstar. You just need one. You cannot win without a joker. I mean, although The Nuggets had a pretty nice win with AG, and then they got absolutely throat stomped by the Lakers last night. I mean, 46 points in the first quarter was insane. It was, I literally like turned the game on late. It was, and looked up, it was like 46 points. Like, all right, they can come back. And I was like, they're in the first quarter right now. Like, oh no. Oh no.
We got swept by the Wizards.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Can't believe that.
That's dumb.
Jordan Poole for sure took a swim in our pool. I'll tell you that much. That was ridiculous.
Here's what I'll say: give the Wizards all the wins they want. Let's have Miami lose, and let's have the Wizards have a strong. Like, let's get our odds.
The Wizards just win out the season.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't even think that winning out the season might not even put them.
Well, we're 14 games ahead. I wonder how many games are left. I don't know.
I think there's 8 or 9. Dang. I think we're less than 10. Yeah, I think we're very close.
I am. Yeah. So, but the fun thing about the NBA versus the NFL is it's not like last place you get first pick. They're going to do a lottery. And so there's always a chance. Try to get the highest percentage by losing. I'm again, like, lie and say that Hero tore his ankle. I don't know, or broke his ankle. Like, just
do
lie.
Something. Put him on crutches.
Yeah, just lie, and I don't know. But anyway, all right. Well, we will finish talking through free agency. I guess at this point, then next week we're going to be in the final few games of the season for the NBA. Obviously, NFL draft is coming up. March Madness tournament.
Yes, all this exciting things.
Rory keeps winning in golf. Team McLaren.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought Rory was going to be classic Rory and just sell for the players, and he did it. He did it.
Man, did he do it, or did what's his name lose it? Like,
he lost it. He lost it.
When you hit a ball into the water, that's no good.
This much, right?
Yeah, and he almost won it day of when they went. I kind of was thinking the same thing for that overtime at the Players Championship. I was just like, I feel like one of two things is going to happen. Rory is just going to like play golf like how I play golf and lose it. You know what I mean? Just like chunking chips and missing putts and all of the things. Or Rory is going to, be dialed in, and this guy who hasn't been, I can't remember his name. Braun? Spawn, that's what it was.
JJ Spawn or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
He was plus 8,000 to win the Players. Like, the best he's ever finished was 64th.
I bet all he did was get someone really excited just to lose. So, I mean,
They're all freaking out over that putt that he used. They're like, it's going in. And then it just sits at the lip.
I will say, I mean, I think he still makes like $3 million for getting second. So good for you and your family, man. Like, that's exciting. Team McLaren, Lando came out in Formula One, won the first race. It's my team. They beat They beat they beat Red Bull and Ferrari and all the other majors, and so in a very rainy first race. But yeah, man, things are happening in sports, and so we'll catch y'all up on everything next week. Austin, have a good week, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. You too. See you soon.
I do. Peace.
Later.